Before we stand up, let's just try a simple circuit. Reaching the hands out, coming into the heart and down. I want the action to be in my spine. So my spine is becoming more erect, and that's what's bringing the hands up. And then I just relax. So the work is in my spine, if I can. An exercise for the heart. My heart starts to lift and open forwards, and then it continues so that it ends up opening to the vertical upwards, and then it comes back down. So it's a circuit. I'm opening and I'm lifting. And then just settle into prayer posture. The main problem the people that I work with have is that they're all mildly depressed. So what that means is they're reluctant to lift their heart upwards. They can get their heart to open onto the horizontal, but it has to be continued. That's what prayer is. That's what this posture is. This posture is squeezing this middle finger upwards. So the heart here has to open towards the ceiling. Otherwise, it can't settle strongly into the sacrum. It can't align properly. If your spine is properly aligned and positioned, then the gravity pulling down causes a surge up the spine and lifts. And then just lift it up and out to the sides and turning, keeping that feeling of the heart lifting. And then just bringing it down. So we have to be careful when we're sitting like this, that the shoulders don't droop forwards and pull the head forwards. The chest should be really thrust upwards, and then the chin pulled in to stretch the back of the neck as well. So the three main curves in the spine, the lumbar, the thoracic, and the cervical, we're trying to straighten them all out a little bit and lengthen the spine. The difficulty is being able to change your mood such that what we're trying to do happens naturally. So in what sense do I need to lighten and quieten so that this lengthening of the spine will happen by itself? That's the internal aspect of the work, just working with your moods, really. And I really feel our main problem nowadays is that our minds are not still enough and our bodies don't move enough. And that's one of the problems of meditation as well. It's too sedentary. And this is why we have Tai Chi. Coming back to the Danqian, one fist on the Danqian, the other fist as though clutching the Ming Men. Relax the shoulders down. Feel what happens when you relax the shoulders. It's like the arms become heavy and the shoulders are pulled down. We'd like the same sort of feeling in the legs and the hips, like my legs become heavy and it pulls my hips down. We're so used to pushing the hips up with the legs. Just want to feel them relaxing and getting heavy. So my shoulders are pulling down, even though my hands are higher than normal. And my hips are dropping down. Feel the feet. So the feet, like a hobbit's feet, big and hairy and spread on the ground. So there's a sense of my hips dropping down. There's also a sense of my feet sort of rising up. Remember, John used to call it penguin Tai Chi, feeling that you've got these two big feet that just come out of your hips here, like your legs have disappeared. Feel the shoulders just dropping down into the hips. So then it feels as though your feet are attached here, like you've just lost your legs and your torso. Now let's try that circuit again that we were doing when we were sitting down. Reaching out and just really expanding across the chest in order to open up to what it is that you're reaching towards. And then bring it in and let it drop back down. Open and reach, and then gather and let it drop. I want to feel the action from here, the reaching out and the rising up, all coming from the strength in my lumbar back. So I'm getting strong around the Ming Men, and that is causing me to rear up. And then I soften and let it in and drop down. This is like a deflation. I'm becoming strong so that I can reach out and open up. And then I'm bringing the world in and curling up around it. As we repeat it, we want it to get higher and higher. So it's more of a reach upwards than it is a reach forwards. I'm reaching up and inviting energy from above to come down into me. Now let's bring the feet up and just try a little bit of this one, just to get some looseness in the joints of the legs. If I can, I want to maintain that feeling of my heart being directly above this center. You can think of the Dantian, but it's often easier when we're moving and using the body to feel the sacrum, because that's like a really big, heavy bone. So the action of my legs are getting something, some movement of the sacrum, but also into the sacrum. And then that can come up and get a similar sort of buoyant, bouncy movement into the heart. If I think too much and it pulls my head forwards, which will make my heart droop, then I don't have the alignment and the energy won't rise properly. So if I can get this energetic flow upwards from the ground, then physically I find I can sink down better. So we want the body to sink and relax. So my body is sinking, but my heart is rising. So we don't want our sinking to be another aspect of our depression. My sinking is simply making a connection with the ground so that I can use the legs to bring energy up from it and just feed my whole being and feed the activity of my being, which is largely communication. I'm interacting with what's beyond my being all the time. So much so that the boundary of my being is indistinct. Think of the air coming into your lungs and out again. You know, is there a point where that air belongs to you, is part of your body? Or is it always of the outside? And is there really that much of a difference? So this is bleeding in and out all the time, which we feel especially with respiration, but also here. I'm working the ground to get movement coming into my body. And especially here, I'm trying to work in such a way that it cheers me up. It's an antidote to depression. So in the olden days, the antidote to depression was prayer, lifting the heart to God. And it's pretty much the same here. What I'm doing is just buoying up the heart and just letting it bubble upwards. And now bring it back to here. Again, I've got these big hobbit feet, which are attached here in my hips. Heart needs to lift. What that means is strength comes into the lumbar spine. The curvature of my thoracic spine, which is like this, disappears. And the heart just lifts. That is the main adjustment that people need to make. People can have open hearts and hearts that operate very well on this plane, on the communicative plane with other creatures, with the world that we live in. But there needs to be an aspect that actually lifts upwards. So you don't have to think in terms of God or the divine. It's just something that's more important than you are. More important than you and yours. So it's nothing to do with family. the young man who's going off to war, and his wife is saying, "Oh, please don't go, you may die." And he just ends the poem just saying, "I could not love thee, dear, so much, loved I not honor more." So there's a sense that there's part of you that is much bigger than this mundane aspect. It's there all the time, and it's expressing and it's lifting. Okay, now let's try the same thing let's just do a couple more of these. Lifting the heart, opening it so that it can beam upwards. And then it has to continue. If I want to circuit, I have to come back down. So I'm breathing with the heavens. I'm bringing the energy down into me and allowing some of my energy to reach up. Otherwise, it won't come down. And then I just want to do the same thing, but with the earth. So this one here, where we just reach down and bring the earth up into the belly. It's very similar. In Tai Chi, everything that we do is very symmetrical. Upper and lower sort of mirror each other. Doesn't mean they're happening at the same time. It just means they have similar structures, same as the left and the right side of the body. They're always doing opposite things, but it's symmetrical. I'm reaching down and I bring something up. And in the same way that when I reached up, it wasn't simply a matter to do a physical movement. I had to feel it. Something in me had to open up so that the arms naturally lift. Here, a similar feeling of something in me having to open up in order to embrace. I open up in order to hug the ground and bring it up into me. It's softer. Than when we reach up. This is more sort of feminine. It's got that sort of softness, that sort of milky, sweet, gentle. Again, it is heart, but quite a different aspect to heart. If I want to reach upwards, something in me has to become sort of fiercely open. I have to almost scream in order to reach up like this. Here, I open in order to bring something in softly. So it's still opening, but quite differently, softly opening rather than fiercely opening. Now let's try putting those two together. So reaching up bringing the heavens down, all the way down through the heart to the belly, and then opening up, sinking, and bringing the earth up. Imagine you're doing this outside. It's basically a tree. You're becoming like a tree. This is like the crown of the tree with the branches and the leaves reaching out into space. And then this is the roots underneath the ground, bringing up water and nutrients. Here I'm reaching up, grabbing all of that sunshine, making my glucose and bringing it down. And now turning with it. Same thing, but now instead of reaching up and down, we're going to be reaching left and right. So I turn and I just open up, bring what I'm facing in, and then turning to the other side. I'm turning into the unknown. That's what turning is. It's turning away from what you know, from what you can see, towards new vistas. So I don't want to simply be open to what I know. feel it as a heart exercise. My heart is expanding and opening, and then it yields, it sucks in, like I'm sending out these tentacles from my chest, catching what I turn towards and then bringing it in so that I can do the same thing the other side. So on the previous exercise, our tentacles were reaching up and then they were reaching down, so the crown and the roots. Here I'm just getting the communication on the horizontal plane. And then 1 foot forwards. And now the full and empty exercise, but we want it to feel very similar. So I'm bringing the ground up. So the value of having 1 foot forwards is that we feel the difference between front and back. This is me opening up to what's in front of me coming up. But then this here, the difficulty here is it's opening up to what's behind me and allowing that to come in as well. We're dealing with circulation, but it's not internal circulation. It's a circulation between me and aspects of the real, aspects of what's outside of me. So here I'm single weighted. As one leg fills, the other one empties. Clearly distinguish full and empty. And they're always changing. If you want to move, full needs to change to empty and vice versa. The other foot forwards and the cross energy. My leg fills from the ground and I bring that fullness into the opposite hand. So remember, there's good tension and there's bad tension. Good tension is just toned connectivity. The connections have been tightened a little bit so that energy can vibrate across them. Bad tension is blockage. Something prevents the energy from flowing and circulating. So this is what we're trying to loosen and get rid of all the time in Tai Chi. We want the movement, especially the movement of the energy, to break up the blocks. And one of the worst blocks is knowledge, knowing, thinking that you know. It becomes something that's a set in stone, and that is nothing if not a block. So just working with very simple, basic principles. Developing what the therapists call negative capability. The ability to thrive without knowledge, without knowing. How do you proceed if you don't know? It's something in us always knows. We know what it's important to know, but it's not a knowledge that's set in words or pictures. It's just an intuition. This is what we're trying to connect to, the part of us that just intuitively knows. Reach out, and then it's very much like reaching up to the heavens when you reach out with the hand. Something has to happen in the spine. So just feel the spine constantly breathing. Ooh, something's coming up. And then it sucks back in, and then it comes up here, and then it sucks in. But this is the energy from the ground. This is earth energy. If something comes up my leg and expresses. Coming back to here. So our work is fueled by enthusiasm. It's fueled by the gods. So remember Heidegger's fourfold. It's quite a beautiful insight. So the earth, we're sandwiched between the earth and the sky, or the heavens. And we're also sandwiched between what he calls the divinities. So the energy that comes in to infuse the heart and other living things, the things that we communicate with. So we're in the middle. We mediate these aspects of the fourfold. So when I communicate with others, it has to come from the gods. It has to come from a part of me that's really spirited and enthusiastic, not coming from a part of me that's simply engaging in exchange in order to make profit, in order to acquire. There has to be something very sort of generous about your openness and your willingness to connect. That's what we're practicing really here in Tai Chi, especially in these classes. So here I'm a veritable geyser. You know, my feet have opened up to the ground and this energy is just exploding out of me like a volcano. But also I have gravity and the sort of softness of nature that's filtering down and seeping into my ground like rain, like I'm collecting rain. I have a big funnel here and I'm just collecting this rain or dew and letting it seep down through me. And now let's bring it up. Let's just try a little bit more of this. This has a quality of play and also a quality of cheeky naughtiness, mischief. Lovely word. I wonder if it means what it sounds like, mischief, like anarchy without a leader, without a chief. Everything can play. It's like when the adult leaves the room and the children get up to mischief. So that's the sense here, like the controller, the fat controller, has left the room. And then suddenly, ooh, the crockery can come alive and dance. Basically, just seeing how silly you can become. A sense of sort of becoming colorful. I have all these sort of plumes of brightly colored energy that's just exploding from you with each shoo ripple that rises up. So it's like I've lost my skeleton and I've just become this mass of sort of jelly or jelly-like rubber. And I have to keep this energy going, otherwise I'll just fall into a puddle of slime. It sort of subsides, but it doesn't really want to stop. Even when it does stop, there's still the memory of it, and there's still the chance that it may happen again. This is the sort of awareness that we want. We want our awareness not to set the world the way we think it is, but to open up and allow the past and the future to come into us. Memory and desire. So the memory of things past and the desire for things future. So these both come into me. So I really am this sort of bubbling, boiling hot pot. It's not just the present. The present is the meeting of past and future.